Hello everyone. Today I want to speak about corona that currently is happening and everyone speaks about. I know that my channel is not created for streams outside of games, but this is a special event which I would like to share my personal views about this. Before I begin talking about my points, I would like to give my condolences to the victims from it. I feel the pains of your families who lost their close ones. Alright, my first point, coronavirus is real. Nobody can deny that. It is there and we all should be aware of this. I would like to suggest you, in case of alarm phase, you do follow what they tell you to do it, so you help out preventing this to spread even further. But you must know that this isn't that much dangerous as they tell you. Thanks to Macedonian respected journalist Vasco Evtov, who gave me inspiration by watching his show called What Center, or English translated in the center. It motivates me to make this special streaming discussion about this event, but I will talk about it based on my views, which some of them mutually shares the same to his. So back to my non-dangerous words about this virus and reason why. Media often enrich us with so many information that many times blown up our minds and we become the victims of brainwashing. Let us analyze of what media tells us and why there is no need for hysteria to spread about this. Number one, they tell us that this virus spread so fast. If such thing is true, why don't we see millions diseased already and millions dead already? Hence the official statement is that there is no cure about it yet. Ordinary flu spreads 100 times faster than this and does affect much more population worldwide than corona. It's been over a week since this corona has been unleashed. With such period of time, ordinary flu would have been affected over millions of people, no matter the measures. Number two, they tell us the death rate from this is alarming. The percentage of the death rate they tell you, they compare it to those who are affected by it and not cured by already. If you include the numbers who got affected by it and has been cured already, you will see the percentage of the death rate from overall infected, cured and non-cured combined is 1% or less. Number 3. This virus is so dangerous and has no cure yet. If this is true, then how come nearly half of overall infected people got cured and survived it? Second of all, when we talk about currently official pandemic in the world, why only specific part of the world is affected by this pandemic in alarming phase, but not the entire world is under the alarming pandemic numbers. Most of the countries around who are affected by biggest corona pandemic are stationed in the central areas in the world, lesser in south and extremely low in north side of the world. Yes, there are some of them there, but not in the numbers amount as in the central regions. I think this pandemic alarming on a global level is not necessarily, but instead it's supposed to be alarmed at the specific regions where pandemic is nearby or does exist. There were much more worse pandemic in this world throughout the history of mankind, much deadlier than you see something like this. Ask your question. Why in that cases nobody in such time has alarmed the world pandemic? In such times on the diseases which has been far worse than this and been spreading much faster compared to corona. Third, let's discuss about panic. You should not let this fear affect your life. Be brave and fight against this. You need to face the fear that affect your life. Don't let it get inside your life. More people will suffer from being afraid than the virus itself. Just imagine how many heart attacks or brain problems is going to cause this fear or fears like this. You should be more careful and afraid from the panic rather than the coronavirus. Don't distance yourself from others after this panic created. Help them. Respect the guidance World Health Organization tells you, but help friends and others who need your help. Don't be afraid to do it. You help them and the help will come when you need it the most. But also never expect them to help you at the same level as you did. That's the essence of life. After all the negative spreading around Corona, let me tell something positive about the event. It's weird when I look around the internet on social networks and so on. People are living much happier and happier these days, with the exception of the fear of the virus they rightly have or don't have, than ever in the last 10 years. Greetings to all, and just to continue, head on over and enjoy your days like this for a wonderful holiday with loved ones. Back to my number 4 point, economy. I do understand that this is going to become huge issue all over the world after this. We all should be aware of this. My suggestion to countries around the world to help this crash a bit slower and have soft recover is this. I know I'm not an expert about economy, but ideas, positive or negative, criticism should be always welcomed as long as it is done in a mature way. What countries should do, in my opinion, in crisis places is they should help companies exposed and dependent on big population and visitors. What kind of help a simple country could do, and I've seen already how Macedonia deals with some of it, is great so far. Macedonia is very poor, small country, nearly nobody in this world, but it is dealing with this problem so great. But this is my opinion now. Number one, they should pay the salaries of the company's workers for the pandemic time which they are not allowed to work, so there won't be much firing employees from work and people don't get unemployed from their work. Number two, they should remove all the taxes from the time being they receive from companies so the companies don't suffer from this issue. Number three, unemployed people should be freed from electricity and other bills they are paying for the time being. You should have feelings about them. They don't have income, they don't receive any income, they need your help. I know the GDP of the countries may slow down a bit, but these measures should be perfect to soften the economic crash. People should be aware and should expect that prices will grow up during this period of time, mainly food, medicine, while we might see reduced oil price. As I said, I'm not myself economist, but this is just a personal opinion. Fifth, conspiration. I'm myself skeptic about all this virus thingy. I don't personally deny its existence, but I consider this as big hoax. If this is so dangerous as they tell you, some of you for sure have friends in the affected countries by the pandemic. Think about how many of your personal friends are affected and how many of your friends died from it. Are the victims mainly strangers and why closest ones are mainly fine? Wouldn't this cause more panic in your personal life if closest ones are the victims and die from it, rather than just some random people we have no clue about? Why the most we see and know about is numbers, and mainly numbers we watch on the TV or social networks. We are not digital species or numbers. They often get fabricated and manipulated. If so many people die and being affected, you would have noticed it without watching those numbers on the medias or social networks. For sure, someone would have recorded it and put it on a Facebook, Instagram, using his phone or something like that. We're living in a digital world. There are cameras everywhere. What we do right now is we watch how people are getting go by government measures in the cameras, but we don't see victims dying on the street by this coronavirus. I'm 100% sure there could be someone out there nearby to record this and notice this. So far, nothing. People who die are mainly inside hospital, secretly or under quarantine, where government is there presented mainly. If this plague is so bad as they tell us, you would have already noticed it on the street before government even find out about it. I know they pretend to tell you that there are tools for effective measures and prevention on this, but let's be serious. No government in this world can take care in time everything 100%. For sure someone would have been out of reach and we will all notice. China has over 1,300,000,000 population. If this was a disease like flu, we wouldn't be noticing hundreds of thousands of people there affected by it. There would be millions affected already and over 1 to 2 million victims at least if this was so dangerous as they tell us. That would be a massive genocide, unavoidable for everyone to see. Other speculations are that this has symptoms similar to flu. First of all, if you notice and put a comparison about symptoms, there is something not many talk about. There are some phases in seasonal flu. First is soft phase that we all know about, and not all, but lot of symptoms are similar to corona. Media often denies that and tells you, okay, they're wrong. I agree with them. We are wrong about believing that the norm of ordinary flu is the same as corona. It's not. What the media and nobody talk about is the deep and extreme phase of the seasonal flu. It is called bronchitis. I don't know if I spelled this correctly in English. I'm not, my main language is not in English, but in my language, in Macedonian language, it is called bronchitis. I'm aware not many of you are doctors and don't know much about this, but I believe majority of you, at least once in your life, has experienced bronchitis. Whether you were a child or you are in your old ages, doesn't matter. I'm sure that majority, if not all of you, already passed through this or are still affected by this. My mother was a doctor. I'm not myself doctor and I don't have any knowledge in medicine, but as a small child I've been sneaking around her workplace, visiting her place, there, intended or not intended. I've been reading her books up there about flus. I still have some of her books about flus in my home. From what I read and learned about bronchitis is that it does share nearly all of the symptoms compared to corona, and it does have a cure about it. Let's discuss about some of them who are extremely the same, which media often tells us about. Number 1, pain in your throat and lungs. This is the same as bronchitis and corona. Number 2, high temperature. Both of them have the same. Number 3, dry cough. Both of them the same. Problems with breathing. Both of them have the same. Sneezing. Both of them have the same. Pain in head. Fever. Can die from it even. Both of them are the same. Even from bronchitis you can die. I have a friend, unfortunately, which his mother died from it. And I know that from my personal experience. And number 9, it can be recovered from it easy if temperature is high outside. What separates corona but is in a way similar to bronchitis, using official information given by World Health Organization and media. Number 1, your kidney is going to give up by corona but not from bronchitis. Number 2, immunity of your body is going to be reduced by bronchitis, so you're victim of many diseases. Such symptom I don't see yet publicly shown by corona. So these are the two difference between corona and the bronchitis, which are both the extreme phases of the flu. Bronchitis compared to corona is far more dangerous than this extreme phase of the seasonal flu, but we all underestimate it compared to corona. Just think about why corona did happen in a period when seasonal flu did happen. How many dies from flu per day and how many get affected by flu per day compared to corona? This is making just more difficult to the doctors. They are afraid from this. You can't imagine what kind of panic they are currently surviving right now. You can't imagine that. Just one example to brief which happened in Macedonia. This is just example, all right? Doctor has been found as positive by corona, and yet I believe this doctor had a contact with at least 1,000 people during this period. You know what's the most funny part? They found out that this doctor was not taking or following the measures of the government. Now, why none of the people who had been in contact with the doctor got infected? Shouldn't be at least half of them get infected if this was true? What happens if the doctor family with the doctor families? Why none of them are affected yet? Why mainly some of publicly influential people are getting infected but none of them die so far, like in the media? We all know about them. Thus they get paid to further the panic from corona as a form of global worldwide social experiment. So global powers test us, creating panic and control us using the panic. I'm speaking about publicly influential people like basketball players and some other players on your mind that you have recently noticed around. Do you got friends who got affected by this and died by this? People who you know or always strangers around? I can't find so far posts on social medias, maybe they will after this release some, by people about their close friends or families who got affected and died from it. All I see is just what medias and public figures tells us. Medias, mainstream medias, Facebook advertising groups from the medias, and Instagram advertising groups from mediums, and so on. But the medias, not people. If corona does not survive in a higher temperature than 24, the human body average temperature is around, my speculation, 32. Why then it does affect us? Why all the countries around the world who are mostly and mainly affected by pandemic have a weather temperature which often goes higher than 24 Celsius degree under shadow and much higher when exposed in the sun during this period of time. Italy and Spain are pure example about this. I know no information about China and Wuhan since it is out of reach and never had an interest in observing weather there. Think about Russia, Canada, Norway, Finland. I'm sure their weather is extremely low compared to the pandemic regions, while the infection rate and victims there are much lower compared to other places. Wouldn't corona pandemic spread better and survive better in a colder places like Russia, Finland, Canada, rather than in Spain and Italy or some central world regions? Hence, some medias, not all, but some medias inform us that it dies in a higher temperature than 24 degrees Celsius. My opinion is that it might be some conspiracy from governments all around the world, and it might be inserted inside food, drink, or anything we buy from shop. I don't know. I just believe that it might be something they put inside, so we get affected by that. I'm big. I'm a bit skeptical about being a flu which jumps from one to another. Otherwise, the consequences would be far bigger than what we see right now and would be out of reach for government to control it. Angela Merkel in Germany said that around 60% of the population there might get affected by corona. In that scenario, we would see around 50 millions of Germans infected. Guess what? We would see at least 1 or 2 millions of people dying on the street. Think about how much size of population would that be for us to not notice it with our own eyes, not on the media, but on the streets. Tell me what kind of government is this in this world can prevent something like that? Is this some sort of forced panic creation? Is this a hoax for them to push you and sell you the vaccines? Does this whole scenario happens with ending point of implementing 5G technology around the world? Is China trying to manipulate with everyone together with the world governments, where it will comes and tells us, hey, you see, 5G is not the source of it, and is not dangerous as you might believe. Is 5G going to be used as a tool to reduce the panic and such tool be under propaganda for us to accept it? Or perhaps 5G is going to be reason for cure from this disease? Don't know, but I just have bad feelings about this. What suddenly happens to global warming, climate change, migrant crisis, crisis in the Middle East, terrorism, animal protection rights, human rights protection activists, LGBT or so on, who said all of them suddenly vanished? from being the focus of the mainstream medias, social medias, and so on. While rarely and very low, someone speak about the numbers of the people recovered from corona, and also where those climate change and so on vanished. We hear so extremely low about them today. Keep in mind that this is just conspiracy about what I said in my fifth point. You don't have to take my words for granted. It is just logical thinking about stuff. Even that happens and doesn't have to be true. Don't take my word for granted. I might be wrong. Okay, admit it. This is just conspiracy. It's non proven. It's not a fact. So it is just logical thinking and an opinion. It is just self-opinion, and you should be aware that Corona does exist and is threat to us regardless of what I say. My last point in streaming and sixth point is recovery. Imagine this as a form of social experiments which happens right now. You feel like the whole world around you are like zombies. You accept their reality, knowing that this is just illusion. Be brave and don't panic. Panic kills more people than the corona itself. Locks down your brain so you become mentally disabled from it during panic moment. What is worse if you panic is that you can die from heart attack. So don't panic, be cold and enjoy in the moment of pandemic with your close ones. Follow the instructions World Health Organization and your government tells you to prevent the plague and enjoy. It will suddenly finish. When this is over, don't distance from other people. Go out and have fun with your friends. Don't be the victim from the panic. Pretend like nothing happened and enjoy life. Don't let governments abuse you in a time of panic. It is you who define in what world you want to live. Whether you want to be prisoners of the time or you want to be free. A message to religious preachers all over the world, regardless of your religion. God don't want us to suffer. He never created us for that. He will never punish us. Stop with your apocalypse nonsense, please. Thanks everyone for taking your time for this, and I hope you enjoyed.